Hello, New York Giants fans, and welcome to a new edition of the Valentine's Views podcast here on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Just wanted to give you guys a few updates from Tuesday's first practice of Giants mandatory minicamp. I guess we'll start with a little bit of a down note. The injury or apparent injury to wide receiver Jaylen Hyatt, who's had a pretty good spring so far. Been drawing praise from Russell Wilson. Drew praise again on Tuesday from Wilson. Wide receivers coach Mike Groh also had some nice things to say about Hyatt in his third year, looking to finally break out, finally be an impact player for the Giants after being a third-round pick in 2023. Hyatt left practice early with an apparent leg injury. Hopefully, we'll find out a little bit more from Brian Daboll on Wednesday, although I doubt we'll learn too much. The Giants are not required to give us injury information at this time of the year, and Daboll probably won't give us a whole lot. I doubt that we see Hyatt on Wednesday. We'll probably see him in training camp in 5 or 6 weeks. But a couple of undrafted free agent wide receivers actually took advantage of Hyatt's absence and the absence of Malik Neighbors, who continued to be sidelined with his mysterious toe injury that has kept him sidelined all spring. Interestingly, Brian Daboll had said earlier in the day that some of the young wide receivers had been picking things up quickly, maybe more quickly than Daboll and the Giants had anticipated that they might. And two of those young undrafted wide receivers really took advantage of their opportunities on Tuesday. Bo Collins out of Notre Dame and Dalen Cambray out of Louisiana, a guy who was mostly a special teams player in college, a guy who had 10 receptions total in a 5-year career at Louisiana. Collins caught a touchdown pass while working with the first team, caught a touchdown pass from Russell Wilson, caught a few other balls, was targeted several times, had a couple of near catches on sidelines, balls that he did catch, but where he was ruled out of bounds. Don't want to read too much into anybody getting first team reps at this time of the year. We've seen too many guys get first team reps over the years and then end up not making a roster. So don't want to read too much into that, but it was a nice, noticeable day for Collins, former Notre Damer. It was also a nice day for Cambray. He had an 11-on-11 session with Jameis Winston at quarterback. He had receptions on 3 consecutive plays, including a quick touchdown pass thrown to the outside. I don't know if this young man actually, when we get to preseason games, I don't know if Cambray can actually help the Giants as a wide receiver, but I'm anxious to see what he does on special teams. This is a guy who was voted an All-American by a couple of different services for his special teams play, blocked some punts while he was at Louisiana, was the holder for place kicks. I'm anxious to see what he can do, if he can be, the latest of those guys like former Giant Nate Ebner, who spent most of his career in New England, a guy that really didn't do much defensively in college, a guy like Steve Tasker, who had a very limited career as an offensive player at Northwestern, but then had a long, successful NFL career as a special teamer. Even a guy like Gunnar Olszewski, who played for the Giants for a couple of years as a return guy, came out of a really tiny college. I believe it was called Bemidji State, where he was a defensive back, ended up in the NFL as a return man, and emergency wide receiver. So I'm anxious to see if Combre is a guy who can follow in their footsteps and eventually become a special teams ace and have a long, successful career that way. But really good day for both of those guys. Wanted to mention also on the practice field, the quarterback shuffle kind of continued. Brian Daboll, aside from giving Russell Wilson almost all of the first team reps throughout the spring, has shuffled his quarterbacks constantly, especially shuffling Jameis Winston and Jackson Dart, putting each of them in different situations throughout the spring. And on Tuesday, it was interesting. Dart, when he did get on the field, he was a little bit up and down. He had one really good session and one really shaky session. But what was interesting was the very first group of 11 on 11 sessions that the Giants did. Dart did not get any reps. I'm not reading anything into that. It was just interesting. Wilson got his reps. Jameis Winston got reps. Tommy DeVito got 2 or 3 reps. Then the whistle blew and they moved to another period of action. Dart didn't get any reps. That perhaps is just another learning tool, another learning moment for Jackson Dart. Not reading anything into that whatsoever. I just thought it was noteworthy. I just wanted to mention Evan Neal as well. We always talk about Neal, so much interest in his transition to guard. Tuesday was the first time that we saw Neal work at right guard. Previously, we had only seen Neal on the left side. Tuesday, we saw him on both sides. Some on the right with John Runyon at left guard, some on the left. So it looks like the Giants are beginning to move Neal around and try him out on both sides. Don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm sure that if the Giants see enough in training camp that they feel like Evan Neal can capably, competently play guard, can add to their offense as a run blocker, can hold up as a pass protector, I think he'll play one of the 2 guard spots. I don't think there's obviously not a long-term commitment to 35-year-old Greg Van Roten. This is the final year of guaranteed money on John Runyon's contract. So if the Giants think Neal can play, he'll play. But which side that's going to be on, we'll have to see. I just thought it was interesting that we saw him on both sides today for the first time. Another interesting note from Tuesday was that the Giants had 4 veteran players in for workouts during the mandatory minicamp practice. That's something that teams can do at this time of the year. Most notable name is 5-year veteran safety Kayvon Wallace, former Philadelphia Eagle, also played for 2 or 3 other teams, including playing 10 games for Shane Bowen in Tennessee in 2023. The Giants have been a little shorthanded at safety throughout the OTAs. Anthony Johnson, who was a backup safety and special teamer last year, has been apparently dealing with a shoulder injury, hasn't been practicing. The Giants have gone through a couple of practices where they've only had 3 or 4 safeties available to get through workouts. So they could be looking to add a safety to the mix here before we get to training camp in August. So we'll keep an eye on whether any of those guys sign with the Giants. The other guys who worked out were Millard Bradford, another safety, Kenny Dyson, an edge defender, and Carter O'Donnell, a guard. All 3 of those guys have minimal NFL experience, couple games here and there for a few different teams. But any of those guys could wind up on the 90-man roster. So we'll keep you up to date as if anything develops there. The final workout of the spring will be on Wednesday for the Giants. Big Blue View will be there. We'll get an opportunity to talk to defensive position coaches. We'll talk to Brian Dable again. Not sure what players we'll get a chance to talk to post practice, but we'll bring you, full coverage from that. Today's practice was nearly 2 hours long, about an hour and 45 minutes. Solid workout, three full 11 on 11 sessions. A couple of those held in the red zone, one of those held as a sort of full field, move the ball kind of period. But Wednesday's workout likely to be a short workout, 45 minutes to an hour walkthrough as the Giants head off to their quote unquote summer vacation. But we'll have all the coverage, all the news, all the analysis of what we see, what we hear, who we get to talk to throughout the day, and we'll have complete coverage of the Giants from any and every angle that we can come up with, everything we can think of to get you guys ready for 2025 training camp, which will start most likely in late July. All right, Giants fans, that's a quick report from Tuesday's mandatory mini camp practice in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Thank you, as always, for watching. Please stay safe out there, take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.